Welcome to Around the Weird. Here's your host, the museum curator of the strange and unusual, Mr. Nothing.
Thank you, mysterious voice, and welcome back to Around the Weird, a booktube channel where I talk about all the unusual and out of the ordinary literature that I have found in my travels. Today, I want to talk not about a single book, but rather what I read in February and what I plan to read in March. I read a lot of good stuff in February. It was a shorter month, so not as much as I had read before. I'm also making fewer videos just because I've started asking myself, is this worth talking about on the channel? And with a lot of comic books, I found the answer is no. A lot of comic books are bad, and there's not enough substance to it to share on BookTube, and I don't have enough criticism or something like that. So that's what I found. It does clear up my schedule a lot more because I'm not making videos every single day after every single thing that I read, which I feel is how it should be. I should save my thoughts for especially good books that I read, or especially terrible books that I read, like the Princess Diaries series. Without further ado, let's talk about my wrap-up for February and my TBR for March. So what did I read in February? As I mentioned before, it was a short month, so I read fewer books, fewer short stories and whatnot. Or maybe the same amount of short stories. So yeah, there's that. But in terms of the books I read Princess on the Brink by Meg Cabot. That was the first thing I read for February, so I got the badness out of the way. Again, I feel like it's a book of missed opportunities. I really like the breakup aspect of the story. I felt she got the emotion right there, but the follow-up and like the setup to it was kind of bland. So, Meg Cabot, the author of Missed Opportunities there. Not as good as I was wanting it to be, although at this point, why I'm expecting it to be good at all. I'm just holding out hope that maybe Meg Cabot will, find some inspiration somewhere in this series. I also read A Wizard of Earthsea. Sorry, it's not it's A Wizard. So, A Wizard of Earthsea by Ursula K. Le Guin. Quite a contrast to Meg Cabot. Le Guin is a wonderful author, a fantastic writer. I feel like I'm late to the party there because I've only just started reading Le Guin. But yeah, her writing is compelling, and it grips you, and I really loved the story. I liked Ged, how he learned from his mistakes, and I also the aspect of him creating his own like villain in the story, like his worst enemy, and then the conclusion to the story, how he defeated that enemy. I thought that was a very good writing, like some of the best writing I've ever experienced before. It makes me want to read more of Le Guin, and I definitely want to check out The Tomb of Atuan. I think is the sequel's name. I'll do that in the very near future. I also read Kick-Ass by Mark Millar. It was a fine graphic novel, nothing too special. I thought it tried too hard to be edgy, and rather than making it feel adult or something like that, it came off as kind of homophobic and racist, and it's very of its time, very dated, and I don't think it's worth checking out. And even after the fact, like when I think back on it, it feels kind of bland, and it's there's a lot of problems with Mark Millar's writing, and it's the same problems that came up with the Civil War storyline. Like it's well regarded, but also a lot of people at the time had a bunch of problems with it, and they're present in Kick-Ass too. So probably not going to check out Mark Millar's comic books in the future, just because it'll probably be much of the same as what Kick-Ass is, unless you feel that there's a comic book out there by him that doesn't have that element to it, in which case let me know. I'd be willing to check it out. I also read The Taming of the Shrew by William Shakespeare. I did say that I wanted to read some Billy Shakespeare at the start of the month, and so yeah, I got around to reading The Taming of the Shrew. Very timely because it's about romance and whatnot, and February is the month for romance. Unfortunately, I didn't think it was very good. I didn't like the framing device that set up the story. It felt kind of unnecessary as a whole, and I didn't like the treatment of Katharina and how at the end it's like, wives should obey their husbands. I don't know if Shakespeare was being sarcastic about that or not. It's too late to ask him, so we got to take him at his word, and it comes off kind of wonky. It's not my favorite, and I felt like it was similar to The Tempest, in that it had a good bits here and there, but it didn't hold up as a whole. And so I guess I got to keep looking for something that makes me feel the way like Romeo and Juliet does, or A Comedy of Error does, which like this is good. I enjoy this. Hopefully I'll find some more as I seek out Shakespeare in the future. I also read a number of short stories, including The Lottery by Munshi Premchand. He is an Indian author, and it's a short story about a lottery and a family trying to one up one another to make sure that they get some piece of the lottery if another family member wins. And then the conclusion, which is none of them get it. I thought it was a lot of fun, and I do want to find more short stories by Munshi Premchand. Unfortunately, he writes in Hindi, I think it is. So it's hard to find translations, given that he's an older author. So I'll have to be on the lookout for more if I can find it. And then I also read The Adjustment Team by Philip K. Dick. I had wanted to check out more Philip K. Dick, and I did. I thought it was a pretty creative short story. I didn't like it as much as We Can Remember It For You Wholesale, but that's a really bizarre and extremely interesting short story that I don't think can really be topped by Philip K. Dick, unless I'm wrong, and he does top himself with one of the other short stories that I find out there. So yeah, I really enjoyed the whole we might be living in a simulation and things are being altered around us without our knowledge. Kind of makes you a bit paranoid too as well. So I definitely recommend checking it out because it's Philip K. Dick and you can't go wrong with him. And then I also read The Briefcase by Rebecca Mackay. A fantastic short story about the need for an identity during chaos and during uncertain periods of time, because all you have is your identity. And I thought it was really well written on Rebecca Mackay's part. And then I also read The Scapegoat by Paul Laurence Dunbar, probably one of the best things that I read last month in February. It was a really solid story. Pretty odd that I had never been able to find a story by Paul Laurence Dunbar before, but I found one, and it's a really good story about revenge in politics. And the Codex Cantina commented and said, "Hey, I've read this before, and it's not very weird to me." And I guess that just goes to show like what exactly normal is for some people, different levels. Because I guess if you're reading Tolstoy all the time, this story might seem normal to you or something like that. But I thought it was pretty unusual because it's centered around revenge and scapegoatism in politics, which might seem normal, but is actually very unusual, and we should consider it to be unusual. So definitely go seek it out. I definitely want to find more by Paul Laurence Dunbar, because if this is good, I want to see what maybe his longer novels are like, or even another short story. I'm forgetting something too. I also read When the Emperor Was Divine by Julio Suka, a good story about Japanese internment during World War II. I found it to be very sad too, really highlighting the injustices that the Japanese Americans went through during World War II, simply because they were viewed as the enemy, even though many of them were loyal Americans who had no connection to the Japanese mainland and were simply trying to blend in at the time in America and make enough to live. And the American government didn't give them the opportunity. And then when it was done, the American government took so long to apologize and own up to the fact that they imprisoned all these people under bad pretenses. So not the best situation, but it makes for an interesting story, I guess, which is harsh to say when you think about it. But anyways, definitely check that out if you can as well. And then I read a number of poems in February. Go check them out on my Poetry Thursday videos. It should be a fun time, and it's always good to read poetry when you can. Now on to the TBR. What am I going to read in March? I have a number of stories planned, and I'm in the process of reading. One book that I'm reading right now at least, is Deacon King Kong by James McBride. I've never read McBride before, but I'm in the process of reading it, and his writing is really good. I'll probably have that out at the beginning of March. Should be a lot of fun, or should be a lot of fun to talk about. There's a bunch of really good parts of the story, and if McBride manages to connect it all before the end of the story, it's going to probably be one of the best stories I've read in a while. So hopefully he manages to do that and doesn't do the old Meg Cabot and screw it up. I'm also going to read some comics throughout the month. Something about the Ghostbusters, the next volume of the Sandman series, Watchmen, which I'm finally getting around to. A bunch of people have said, "Hey, Mr. Nothing, you should check out Watchmen," and I've been hesitant to do it because it's one of those edgy comics, but I think it should be a lot of fun, just because I watched the movie and I feel like it's Alan Moore, so he always delivers, from what I've heard at least. And then some Batman comics here and there. I'm also going to check out Infinite Jest by David Foster Wallace. Should be a lot of fun. I've heard good and bad things about it. That it's not worth it, or that it's high quality. Well, I'm interested in finding out what is actually the case according to my taste. Does it live up to the infamy or the fame? We will find out during this month. I've also got The Princess Diaries 9. I think it's Princess Mia. Finally. It's just two more of the books to go. This one and then Princess Diaries 10. I hope it's good. I don't expect it to be any good. But it's the conclusion, the original conclusion, before she chased the royal wedding trend and followed up on that in 2015. So this is the original end of the Princess Diaries saga. So we'll see how that goes. Probably not going to be very good, and I'm prepared to rip it apart. I also want to check out something, I don't know what, by Toni Morrison. I've never read Toni Morrison before, and I'm very interested in seeing what her writing is like, and finding out if it's to my interest. Yeah, I know she wrote Beloved, but I don't know what else she's written. So let's find out. And then finally, based on a suggestion or a push or something like that by Lucas over at the Bits of Lit, I'm finally going to get around to reading The Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison. I hope it's good. Based on what Lucas has been telling me, it is good. So I figure it's time I check it out. Also, it's on my 2021 reading list, so that's good too. For March, I also have a number of short stories planned, including short stories by Mary Shelley, Bjornson, if I'm pronouncing that name right. The April 3rd Incident by an author whose name I don't know. It's a short story collection from my local library, and a bunch of other short stories planned as well. And then I have a couple poems planned too, including one by June Jordan. That should be fun to check out. So that's about what I have planned for March. If you have any suggestions for something that I might be interested in, and I could probably squeeze it into my schedule, let me know. I'm always willing to take suggestions and expand my horizons from what I'm kind of narrowly focused on right now. So that was my wrap up and TBR for February and March. A lot of good stuff planned. I'm especially looking forward to the the Nightfall comic that I got, the Batman comic. I ended up buying that, and I'm really interested because that's one of the better story arcs that I know about in Batman comics, where Bane just utterly obliterates Batman, and Batman has to deal with the fact that there's this crazed strongman out there who is capable of defeating him. So I'm looking forward to that. If you have any suggestions or if you have anything to comment on here, feel free to do so below. Let's have a discussion about books. Otherwise, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so that other people can find out about this groovy channel. And in the meantime, I wish you the best of luck in your weird and St. Patrick Day-like travels. Farewell.